Welcome to this multiple game Pentagon challenge where I'm going to try and win on every continent in less than 10 seasons. Each year I'm going to move on to a new FIFA game, meaning that transfers, manager moves, gameplay and features are going to change every single season, but also the leagues that are actually available to me will change too. Our first season and only season on FIFA 15 is going to start in South America. Of course, we need to win the Copa Libertadores this year, so we've got to start as one of the biggest teams on the continent. We could choose to manage teams like Boca Juniors in Argentina, Cruzeiro and Internacional in Brazil, or Colo-Colo in Chile, but we've actually picked Sao Paulo. Even before we sign anyone, there's a decent chance that we can win the Libertadores this year with this squad, but of course we need to make sure that we definitely can. The transfer market is probably the best way to do this. We have somebody in mind, but they'll cost about £12 million. To raise this much cash, we'll transfer list some backup tier players, and thanks to Real Sociedad, we've got enough money to bring Kaká back to Sao Paulo, but this time on a permanent deal. Kaká has won the World Cup and the Champions League, but he never won the Libertadores before he retired. He'll be joining Wesley and Ganso in midfield, and if you're old enough, those names might mean something to you. Ganso was meant to have better potential than Neymar back in their Santos days, mainly thanks to his performances in 2011 when Santos would actually win the Libertadores with both of them in the team. In some of our other seasons, we'll be playing a lot of the games in the league, but I've actually got so much footage from some of the craziest games of FIFA that I've ever played that I'm actually just going to simulate all of the Brazilian Serie A games. Before we could even play the one pre-season game that was scheduled for us though, we were actually thrown straight into continental football. It's not a bad way to make your managerial debut. In our group was Uruguayan team Penarol, Chilean team Huachipato, and Argentinian team San Lorenzo. Looking at the group, we should probably be expecting to finish first, but San Lorenzo and Penarol can both definitely challenge us while we get used to how FIFA 15 plays. So it's finally debut time, and we're going away to Montevideo for our first game against Penarol. Win this and we'll probably qualify, but if we lose this match, they'll have to be perfect for the rest of the group stage just to finish second. Already, it feels like there's a decent amount of pressure on us as a manager. Of course, it wasn't just our debut as a manager, it was also Kaká's debut, or I guess his third debut for Sao Paulo. He made one about 15 years ago when he came through the academy, he made another last year when he was on loan, and of course we've brought him back on a permanent deal. It didn't really start out too well though. The AI on FIFA 15 loves a cross. You're going to see that throughout this video. Lots and lots of crosses, and actually quite a lot of dribbling as well, because FIFA 15 was a very fun game to dribble around on. You can see us doing a nice one there with Luis Fabiano, getting a lucky rebound and also getting the equalizer just before half time. We're still getting used to how FIFA 15 plays at this point. I haven't played this game in about 6 months, probably closer to a year, so just figuring out how to pass the ball was difficult enough. If you've never gone back in time to play some of the older FIFA games after getting used to something like FC 24, you might not actually realise how difficult it is to adapt to the new gameplay, but we're doing our best, and we actually get one last chance in the 90th minute. Pato pulling it back to Michel Bastos, but the goalkeeper with an absolutely amazing save with his feet. We would actually get one more chance from the throw-in. Daniel, the substitute on for Kaká, would find Pato. He would chip it towards Bastos, who would flick it onto Wesley, but again, it's another great save from the Penarol goalkeeper, and we'd actually have to settle for a draw in our first game on FIFA 15. With the Libertadores already proving to be tougher than I expected, at least the game against Huachipato should be pretty easy. They're a 3-star team with only a single player over 70 rated, while our team is ranked as the 3rd best in Brazil. The 4-3-3 that we used by default wasn't really working for me in our first match, so to get the most out of both Pato and Kaká, I've moved both more central and switched to this 3-5-2 formation. For the first time in his career, our team walks out in front of our own fans, but would Ganso be actually able to play in the double pivot a little bit deeper in this formation? In fact, that was actually probably the thing I was most interested to find out, because Ganso definitely doesn't have the physicality or even close to the pace that you would normally expect someone in this position to have. In fact, he's only got 48 sprint speed and only got 55 strength, so this guy is not your typical defensive midfielder. What he can do though is step up past Kaká like that and take long shots at the goalkeeper. That's exactly where we want Ganso. He shouldn't be defending, he should be taking set pieces and assisting people like Luis Fabiano to put us 1-0 up against Huichipato. In the second half, we actually just really wanted to extend the lead. We're still getting used to how the game plays, sure, but we're starting to get a bit more of a hang of it. We understand what things are starting to work, and we also figure out how to shoot. I was actually pretty happy with that goal because Kaká doesn't have the best movement stats, he doesn't have the best pace, and somehow he doesn't even have the best shooting stats in our team. While it is very fun to try and score goals from outside the box with Kaká, if it's inside the box and he's hitting it on target, it's usually going in. That's Kaká's second goal of the game. We're 3-0 up, and it's probably time to start resting some players, and that did actually cost us a goal from Huichipato right at the end of the game. I was actually a little bit worried about a comeback, so we did park the bus for most of the game, but we still had one more chance with Alex Pato. He has a lot of pace this year, and to be honest, we probably should have taken a shot with him rather than using our substitute João Pedro, who's rated a lot lower. 4 points from our first 2 games is pretty decent, and honestly, we weren't that worried about not qualifying. In fact, I simulated the other 4 games, and even though we lost to San Lorenzo in the last one, we would actually finish first and guarantee a spot in the final 8 teams. This isn't exactly how the real-life Libertadores works, but this is just a reskin of the FIFA 15 competition that was known as the Copa Latina, and it's about as close as we can get without having to go even further into FIFA history to play in Brazil. The draw in the competition wasn't actually the kindest, because International are clearly the second best Brazilian team after Atlético Mineiro and ahead of us. Still, if we could keep the away leg low scoring, we could probably beat them at home, at least that was the plan. But the thing about plans in football is that they never seem to work exactly how you expect. If we could have got an early goal in this game, that would have made everything so much easier. Somehow, we pressed the wrong button with Pato and ended up chipping it straight into Alisson's hands. Kaká nearly got his goal from outside the box that again would have made things a lot easier for us, but it seemed like no matter what we did in this first half, we just could not get a goal. It did seem some of the time like the AI would just score whenever it wanted. Sometimes they would get a ton of lucky bounces, and right there, the lucky bounce was ours. Our goalkeeper let it through his body, it hit the post, and he just about picked it up. After getting lucky there, we got unlucky here, with Alisson being the sweeper keeper we know he can be in the Premier League. Our football, if you haven't noticed already, is kind of like counter-attack long ball, whereas International are very much a possession-based team. And on FIFA 15, this is really hard to counter. You can dive in, you can slide tackle, but come the end of the day, most of the time, you're just hoping your goalkeeper or your defender will make a block. We got one that time, but then they even played possession coming from a corner, and that was one of the best set pieces I've ever seen an AI do on any FIFA game. The header down, the great controlled finish, and the deserved goal if I'm being honest. International totally destroyed us in this first leg, and we were lucky to be going into the second leg just a single goal behind, but because we're at home and it is only a single goal, we have Kaká fully fit, we have Fabiano, we have Pato on good form from how they're playing in the league, so we actually have a decent chance of getting that goal, getting 2 and getting into the semi-final. Kaká kind of wanted to take it into his own hands right there, trying to do a shot from outside the box. We still haven't scored one with any player in this save, and then things got even worse. Within the first 20 minutes, International had scored a goal. We now had to come back from 2-0 down, but we did still have Kaká, and he still did have the potential to do something special, like beating 4 men, like finessing it into the corner, and putting us just 1 goal behind on aggregate. When Kaká or your best player is in this kind of form, you just try and get them the ball as much as you can. He had another shot right there. I think that's the first time he's hit a ball inside the box that hasn't gone in. It has won as a corner, and we got so lucky. The ball bouncing at the feet of Alexandre Pato, and in less than 45 minutes, we are level in the tie again. But that means International are going to start attacking. We get lucky there that the ball fell to Wesley rather than their striker, and with both teams wanting to attack, this was going to be a special second half. The first goal of the second half came to Pato, and all of a sudden we turned it around from 1-0 down to 3-2 up in just 45 minutes. But here comes some AI crossing, and the smallest player on the pitch would outjump our 6'3" centre-back, and it was all level yet again. Ganso in the pivot would play it to Kaká. João Pedro would give it back to Kaká. And again, Kaká would score. He was on absolute fire. And with just 15 minutes left, surely that would be the last goal of the game. Well, Michel Bastos would chip one forwards and João Pedro would smash it home to give us finally a comfortable 2-goal lead against Internacional. But they weren't done yet either. Paulao would pass it out to William. His cross would come in again and Sasha, again a very small player, would score a very important header. We just had a few seconds left. We still had that 1-goal lead, and it was almost an accident that João Paulo would get one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and thankfully he would find the net and there would be no more coming back from Internacional. We had won the game 6-4 on aggregate. After the highest scoring quarter-final game in Libertadores history, we were the last remaining Brazilian team in the competition. We could be drawn against one of 3 Argentinian teams, River Plate, Boca Juniors or San Lorenzo, a team that you might remember beat us back in the group stage. Thankfully, we actually got the lowest rated team of the 3, but River Plate had one big advantage. The Brazilian league has always been known for having a ton of games, with some players playing over 100 times in a single season. This seems to have kind of been implemented in FIFA, because both of our games against Internacional and our first leg against River Plate had league matches just 2 days before them. This was actually such a problem that we had to make a team sheet that was just our reserves, just so that some of our better players could have a rest. We went on a bit of a bad streak in the league because of this, our reserves not quite being good enough to have a title challenge, but at least some of our good players actually now had fitness, even if Pato, Kaká and Fabiano would all be tired from minute 1 in this first leg against River Plate. While we had Kaká and we were hoping he would perform in the same way he did in the quarterfinals, River Plate had some pretty cool legends of their own. You might remember Javier Saviola, you might remember Leonardo Ponzio or Lucho Gonzalez. They were all important players for a River Plate side that actually wasn't that much worse than ours. The strategy we had against Internacional seemed to really work. Hold on in the away leg and try and win the home leg, but we didn't actually have to hold on because we were just so superior to River Plate in this first leg. Luis Fabiano would open the scoring after 36 minutes, a rare assist there for Alex Pato, but I suppose he doesn't score that many goals himself either. With 10 minutes to go until half time, we were just trying to push on and see if we could get the second goal. Kaká would be the playmaker playing through Pato, and you might remember the guy that did that tackle's name. Of course, he's Eder Alvarez Balanta, one of the biggest wonderkids in FIFA and Football Manager history that amounted to absolutely nothing in the years since FIFA 15. It was good news that he was gone because he was the highest rated centre back in the entire squad and they didn't even replace him with a substitute. We really should have made it 2-0 just there, and a couple of rebounds fell but not quite where we wanted them, so going into half time we would settle for the 1-goal lead. I don't know what happened at half time though, because River Plate came out and played like they had 12 men, not 10. They were absolutely all over us and they knew how to score. If it wasn't crosses going into the box, it was fast one-touch passing. They would hit the post. We just could not get this ball away. When we had the ball, it would bounce off our shins back to them, and they would equalise just 10 minutes after half time. I wouldn't be lying to say that we actually were the team holding on for the rest of the match. 70 minutes gone, we safely get the ball and make a huge blunder. It was just constantly things like this. It seemed like every bounce was going in River Plate's favour, although we did probably get lucky that that wasn't given as a penalty with that big off-the-ball collision. Still, it was constant threats and we were getting lucky that we weren't going behind into the second leg. It's not the first time that a team's played better after losing a man, but I was surprised how much better River Plate really were after losing Balanta. We got one last attack, they gave away a silly free kick, our cross came in, but it summed up our attack after we scored the goal. We couldn't do anything right and we drew the match. We have a massive semi-final second leg, so of course the Brazilian FA decides to schedule a game against Curitiba literally the day before it. We do the same as always, the reserves play in that match, and finally, they actually won a game. But can we do the same the day after? It's going to be tough because our team is still crazy tired, even though they didn't play in that game, while River Plate are going into this match fully fresh. I don't know if it is an actual feature in FIFA 15, but there does seem to be a massive variation between home and away fixtures. You can tell we're at home right there because Pato takes the ball down perfectly and does one of those slide tackle finishes that I think FIFA 15 is quite well known for. When we're at home, we can play some pretty decent football. When we're away, it seems like we have to resort to playing long ball. but the AI doesn't feel the same way. River Plate with some really nice football and an even better finish. I can't even be mad about that because that was just a really nice goal to concede. Of course though, that does give us about half a match to try and get ahead, try and get that win, and River Plate know exactly how to spam crosses. Thankfully, we deal with that one, and at half time, things are going to be 0-0. In the last couple of minutes of the half though, we got a notification that Luis Fabiano was injured. You can see from our substitute bench that literally our only fit player is a goalkeeper, and FIFA 15 is not going to let us put one of those up front. We're going to have to play on with an injured player. Hopefully he can still kick the ball, and hopefully he wouldn't be out if we did qualify for the final. It was actually Fabiano that played through Pato right there, and Pato, in another game where finesse shots actually worked, probably would have put us 1-0 up. Again, Fabiano with another nice move through to Pato, and he would cut inside. I don't know why that was such an easy goal to score. It seemed like Pato just didn't get tracked, but I'm not going to complain, because that's the goal that's put us ahead with just seconds to go. A couple of mistakes at the back there for River Plate have cost them a place in the final, but I'm more than happy to take that final place for Sao Paulo instead. It was quite frustrating to notice that the exact same scheduling mix-up happened before both legs of the final too. We have to play 2 games in the 6 days before the final, including one the day before. This constant stream of games has finally taken its toll too, because we have confirmation that Luis Fabiano will probably miss both of the final matches. The first final game is a tense one. We went in with the same strategy that had beaten International and River Plate. We defended a lot in the first leg, which was away yet again, and we were going to push for a win in the second leg that was at home. The thing is though, we knew San Lorenzo were a difficult team to play against. Martin Cortaruccio was the competition top scorer with 10 goals, and he'd actually scored 3 against us in the group stage matches. We were actually resting Luis Fabiano because he had that knock in the previous game, and his replacement, João Pedro, would then go on to get injured as well. I've never had an injury crisis anything like this, but it's what happens when you have to keep playing players that have absolutely no fitness. After one of the most boring games of the entire season, all of the pressure was put onto the final leg of the final. We were at home and we'd rested every single good player, but Fabiano had actually recovered way faster than the medics had predicted, so he would be starting the final match despite having a slight injury risk. I was actually so happy when we got the email saying that we could play Luis Fabiano. He isn't actually that important for our squad, he hasn't got much pace, his finishing isn't that good, but somehow he is our top scorer in this competition. Between Pato, Kaká and Fabiano, we knew we had 3 men that could make a difference in this final. However, we also saw that the referee already had made a strange decision right there. We got fouled, they got a free kick. However, he didn't get this decision wrong. That is an absolutely horrific tackle right there from San Lorenzo. He goes straight through the back of Pato. He is never getting the ball. He is just trying to injure our best striker. They knew exactly what they were doing right there. However, we know fully how hard FIFA 15 can be when you play against 10 men, and now we've got to do it for 60 minutes of this match. What we need is someone to make a difference. Maybe Kaká right here. Absolutely Kaká right here. What a finish that is. He finally gets that goal from outside the box, and we go 1-0 up in the Copa Libertadores final. Again, Kaká playing it to Fabiano, and maybe he's a little bit injured still because he tried to do the exact same thing. If we could have scored 2 of those before half-time, I would have felt comfortable. But at 1-0, even though San Lorenzo haven't had a single shot in the first half, I am still a little bit nervous about how this game is going to end up. Wesley would find Pato, and he would calm my nerves a little bit. A really nice finish from Alex Pato, and our 2 highest rated players showing up when it matters the most in the final. Just like Kaká, Pato hasn't actually ever won the Libertadores. He's won 2 Sudamericanas, which is the Europa League version of the Libertadores, but I don't think anyone who's watching this video could actually dispute that he has been a massive part in what is looking like it could be Sao Paulo's first Libertadores title since 2006. In fact, Pato would get on the ball and he would kill the game off by winning a foul, giving Kaká one last shot. There was no Hollywood last-minute winner from a free kick needed there. We're 2-0 up, and we're pretty much happy for the game just to see itself out as the referee does confirm that we have won the first leg of our Pentagon challenge. We still have 4 more to go. Let me know what teams you think I should use in the comments below. I haven't made too many videos in advance, so if I see a comment that's got a lot of likes, then there is a decent chance that I will use that team for that part of the Pentagon Challenge. Up next is going to be FIFA 16, where I'm going to be either in North America or in Europe, so make sure you subscribe if you want to watch that. Leave your team suggestions in the comments below. Here's the league table if you're interested in how that ended up. We actually came 3rd, but all we really needed to do was win the Libertadores, and thankfully that was Kaká holding it above his head right there. Thank you for watching, really do appreciate. Share this if you've got anyone you think would enjoy it, really would appreciate that, and I'll see you soon. Cheers and goodbye.